Hello everyone, welcome to the Kiali Sprint 71 community meeting. We are going to summarize what we did, what we have worked on these past 3 weeks. At the end of this sprint, at the end of today, we are going to release the version 1.49. So, as usual, we will summarize the big areas to work on this sprint, and also we have the highlight section. And at the end of the highlight section, we'll stop the recording and we will have a community discussion to talk any topic that I would like to comment, right? So this sprint was pretty focused on infrastructure enhancements, bug fixes, and hardening. So you will see less feature than usual that we usually had in the past, but you will see a lot of work, a lot of issues related to these 3 topics, right? So one of the highlights of this sprint, one of the important change that you will see is that we have unified the backend and the front-end repo. So in the past, for traditional reason, when we started this project, we had a separate repo for the web application and another one from the backend. So just in the build process, we put together all the build process was responsible to put all the backend to plug all the models together. But we think that we want to improve how we code, how we send units of words, how we send pull requests. And one of the changes that we promote is to unify the both repo. What is the goal? The goal is that, for example, an ideal pull request from community for any developer will have in the single unit of work all the backend chains in Golang require all the front-end chains in TypeScript, but also we want to unify it in the same unit of work, the integration testing, and also now that we are going to show today with some demo, the user interface testing. This is something that we are improving, and we want that the testing capabilities are maintained by the project in a iterative way, but pull request. This is one of the big changes that you will see. Should be transparent for any developers in the community. It's not going to change anything. Just take a look of the README. Just join the Slack Kiali room in case that you have any question about how to proceed. But it should be transparent for the project. Okay, so one of the changes that we introduced now are more robust and solid UI integration based on Cypress, and I'm going to pass the mic to my colleague Pavel, that is going to comment more about it. So I'm going to stop sharing. Pavel, would you like to share your screen?
Yes. So hello everyone. I'm a quality person from the Kiali, so I do care about quality on the Kiali. And after some discussion, we find out that, quick question, are you able to see my slides?
No, I see a black screen from my side.
Okay. So sharing is
now
not
it's
working.
No, now it's better. Now I see your browser.
Okay, so I'm presenting that slide you just passed me. So if it is not working, let me know. So Cypress is a new tool for UI regression. Basically, I would say it's an industry standard. It's a small JavaScript library which is running inside of the browser. And since we don't support any obsolete browsers, I feel Cypress is a perfect fit for the Kiali. Tests are written and executed in the BDD framework called Cucumber, and the syntax is called Gherkin. I will show you the docs later. And this whole kind of idea comes from the shift-left approach. That means that you do early integration, you test. The tests are performed earlier in the life cycle. So we also have integration with GitHub Actions prepared, but more on that later. So what is expected that developers will contribute with the UI testing and help us cover the regression. And let's say with each incremental change in the Kiali, there should be delivered test scenario. So this is something we do expect and we will review. And by this way, when we test early in the process, we will have that coverage we are looking for. So I give you a quick demo. What is this about? We are using a behavior-driven development framework called Gherkin. It's created by SmartBeer. It's a JavaScript implementation. And basically, what is this about? You are creating high-level feature files, and you basically describe the scenario. So in example, you create some incremental change, you add a new function, and you describe on high level in this file what this change is about, basically. So there are some examples, but I will not go too deep into these. The BDD is driven by a few keywords, so you can find it here. You are using on a high level top file. First entry is a feature when you describe the feature, and then you are using these keywords: given, when, then, and you can chain with the end. Basically, you describe the scenario given user is logged into the Kiali. When he sees the landing page, then there should be a console in the URL. And so this way you are making assertions. We are starting to write first our smoke tests this way. Second thing I want to show you is a Cypress API documentation. So Cypress is a pretty popular project. It's being used heavily, and in here you can see all the commands Cypress is using. So for example, click is my favorite one because in the UI you need to click on the things, and basically this kind of a usage will show you how you can focus elements in the DOM and how to interact with them. So Cypress is synchronous, so this is maybe a little bit different than all JavaScript. So you are basically chaining the steps serially as you proceed with the scenario. So we also prepared some documentation in the Kiali. So as Lucas said, there was a merge of the repository front-end and back-end. So right now you can find the front-end folder in the Kiali backend. So if you go there and you go into the Cypress folder, there is all things related to the Cypress are in the front-end Cypress folder. There is a README file which you can take a look. Basically, all Cypress is prepared for you for a developer. You only need to install package.json. You only need to install dependencies, and you are good to go. There are some safe defaults for the development, so we do not expect any troubles when you start to deal with the Cypress. What I want to show you more in detail is the structure of the Cypress. So there is a config file, and most important is an integration folder. So if we take a look into the integration folder, there is a common files, which are the actual Cypress files, and the feature files. As I said before, these belong to the BDD framework. So if you open a feature file, you can see simple smoke. We start just basic coverage. We just started. So this one scenario is giving us feedback whether the login is working on our OpenShift provider or on our OpenShift instance. This kind of the best practice is you create a feature file with that name. So this one is called login or Kiali login, and you have a TypeScript file which actual Cypress implementation. So there is that click I mentioned before. So you can use basically CSS selectors, focus any DOM element and stuff like that. So returning to documentation, there are some custom commands. This is more in details, but basically these two folders are most important for any increase if you want to increase any coverage. I will show you a quick demo, which is our beta login. We do expect every scenario to have a background step, and it starts like this. Given user is administration perspective, so that we have some logic here already baked in, so we are good to go. We are prepared for other environments. So this kind of this step should cover all our use cases with Kiali. So I will show you right now how to execute it. Once you have your packages installed, you will just go yarn Cypress, and this one opens a UI for you, the Cypress UI. And here you can execute the feature files you wrote. So I want to execute the login, which stores the cookie for our environments. And it's basically automatically it works. There are some assertion errors. So once there is a failed test, you can, and the tests are finished, you can navigate through so you can travel in time and see what happened at each step in the Cypress. This scenario is kind of easy, but in this form you get the idea. Get input username, type something, get input password, type something, and proceed with the login. So basically this is how Cypress works. And I believe that's it.
Yeah.
I have no
nice
more.
Demo. Pavel, thank
you
you very much for your presentation. Continue with this session. I'm going to share again my screen. So yeah, as Pavel commented, the SEPA integration is going to be a key fundamental for the pull request when it's in place. The idea is that in the project, in every unit of work, we are going to maintain and keep adding the new tests or modifying the existing ones according to the change of the feature or bug fixes, etc. So yeah, another infrastructure effort is about the integration tests, and I'm going to ask Heike. Hi, do you want to share your screen or do you want to comment on the slides? So
I will comment on slide.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Lucas. So basically, as you know, Kiali has the integration end-to-end tests, which are written in Python, and actually they were out of dev's radar because they were managed by QE, and each functionality change on Kiali REST API side was causing failure of those tests, and QE had to go and fix them afterwards after the backend PR was merged on dev side. So the decision was made to convert these existing Python tests into the new Golang integration tests and put them into the CI pipeline of Kiali repo. And the requirement is to keep the structure and all the test cases which already existed in Python. Just they need to be converted on Golang. This is a work in progress effort, and as you can see from this slide, to run this test suite, it requires to run make integration test and provide environment variables, the URL to the Kiali, and the OpenShift login token to this Kiali. Based on these credentials, URL and token, the test suite logins to OpenShift and to Kiali itself, and is sending the REST API request in a scope of integration tests. And the result is as it was required from QE and as it was required by the legacy Python end-to-end test. It is in JUnit report style in XML, so it can be used via the Jenkins pipelines QE is using for this. As you can see, here is an example how to run the test suite, and it shows where the result is set, and the result file is in JUnit XML format. Currently, there are only the basic scenarios of listing and listing the details of the workloads, applications, and services. That this core functionality, and the rest is in progress. So that's it from my side. Any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Hai. Just one comment to say that now this integration test may run in any platform. So are part of the upstream, as we are going to comment later, are part of the regular pipeline of the project. Anyone can run this integration test in the platform that they are using, and it's also part of the main strategy, just to update and maintain this test in the unit of words of the pull request.
Yes, this is maintained by community members, and so with each pull request, where there is upcoming new functionality and some functionality change, the CI pipeline will indicate the failure, and this failure should be fixed within the same pull request to be merged. So this was the main goal.
Awesome, Hype. Thank you a lot for the effort. So let's continue with the work. So as part of this new infrastructure effort that we are doing on this sprint, also we are doing a heavy work in the CI improvement. So, and I guess that Nick, are you around? You would like to describe all the work, Leandro, about the CI improvements?
Yep. Yeah, I'll talk about it for a bit. So picking up where from the demo and showing the front-end integration tests and the back-end integration tests, we're going to be Kiali is going to be leaning more heavily on GitHub Actions to run those tests against every PR that's opened and every release. Previously, a lot of that testing was done in a private Jenkins pipeline, but we're moving that to GitHub Actions so that it's more visible to the community, and so that as a project we get better feedback for changes that are made. So that the back end and the front end tests are run that were just talked about today in the CI pipeline, and there's been some work on refactoring some of the CI pipelines to make them more reusable. And Kiali image builds are going to happen in the CI pipeline as well. So a lot of work going on there, and that's the status update we got.
Yeah, thank you very much for the comments, Nick, for the updates. Yeah, let's continue for more work that we did in this sprint. So I don't know if Mass is around here. Okay, I think that's Mass here. So we implemented one of the feature flag proposed by the community, because one of our community members was asking if we can just try to disable the log task in some workloads. So now this is an optional flag that you can enable disable from the operator itself, and if you have some workload that may have sensitive information that you don't want to open, in case that you have view only mode to anyone outside of your cluster, and you want to give access, but you don't let them to inspect the workloads. So now there is an optional feature just to hide the log tag, but also see the rest of the information, the telemetry or the status of the cluster. Okay, so we have one big effort in progress, which is about the upgrade of the pattern framework, but I will let Jay, if you want to comment about this effort.
Yeah, sure, Lucas. I mean, overall, it's pretty straightforward given the title, but in sort of the same theme as the infrastructure work that we've had going on, one of the things that we really want to do here is make sure that we are more up to date. We've been, for stability reasons, been putting off kind of moving forward with a bunch of larger updates, especially on the UI side with Patternfly and React. And the time has come for us to move that forward. So we are doing that in an effort to be a little bit more modern and certainly also to reduce our exposure to security alerts. So looking forward to a release relatively soon that incorporates a whole bunch of new dependencies, and that is in progress.
Yeah, thank you very much for the update. So let's continue. So yeah, just to finish the highlights of the sprint, just a couple of bug fixes and enhancements to mention. One fix for one crash in the UI when there is no gateways found in the cluster. Yeah, thank you for fix. Also, fix from the community for facing another situation where several customers were accessing concurrently to the status endpoint. There was some problem there, so now this is also fixed. The version support for customer annotations in the config map for specific use cases as well, that now can also be used by the operator that you want to add this extra information in the resulting the produced config map that they will use by Kiali to populate the environment variables. Also, as part of this hardening sprint, we ban multiple backend front-end dependencies to be up to date to the latest releases of Prometheus, also for the front-end dependencies of the clients. Also, we have a minor scenario of Istio that support gateways workloads only in user spaces. It has a mesh config flag to only expect that the gateway will live at the same namespace that the workload is living. So now Kiali will support that for validations. And also, we are not finished about infrastructure enhancements. So are reviewing our hack scripts. We are updating all security alerts that also trigger bumps on basis to the repo. Yeah, I'm not commenting about other minor bug fixes, but important just that the release that you will get in today will be pretty solid. So this is our goal. And I think that's it from the highlights chapter. So I'm going to stop the recording.